So Johan, welcome, and the floor is yours to present on Brazil and the region. And yeah, welcome indeed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Charlotte, and thank you everybody for inviting me and let me be part of this this group. So I'd like to take this 10-15 minutes to say a little bit about Brazil and a few words about what we're doing and how we are set up with our operation in Brazil. But first, maybe a couple of words about myself. So I'm Johan, Swedish, as you probably can tell, but I've been living in Brazil since the early 90s. A few years in Mexico, a few years back in Sweden, but I've been here a long time. Background from management consulting with Carney. I worked as the managing director for the Chamber of Commerce and the Trade Council, which it was at that time, here in Brazil, before it became Business Sweden. We're involved in many startups and managing director for a few subsidiaries, Oriflame in Mexico and BTS here in Brazil, for example. But CasaMax I started some 10 years ago, which has actually a lot to do with, as maybe most of you as well, with my history, right? I've been Swedish, been in Brazil. I've been involved in and participated in over 30 startups of subsidiaries in Brazil. So it's you kind of aggregate a lot of experience of, helping foreign companies to do business in Brazil, and that's the base of what we're doing. And I love doing that, and that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully, I think until I retire. So this is my CasaMax is also my retirement plan, so to say. Well, I guess that's well. Also, Johan Stan, which is on the call, is my colleague, and we used to work at the Chamber of Commerce many years back, and we're friends. And he joined me a couple of years back, and he's also a partner now of CasaMax. Good. So, well, about CasaMax. First of all, let's talk a little bit about. Let's see how I switch this page down. There you go. People always think about Brazil, and they think about some certain special things, right? And I just want to take up a couple of them to make this, to remember people of what they normally think about. And first of all, maybe you think about football and Neymar, and if he's a spoiled brat, you think about Bolsonaro, the Brazilian president. You think about the forests and rainforests burning down or being cut down, not a very environmental friendly country. And hopefully also think about Brazil from, the beautiful country it is with Corcovado, Copacabana, the beautiful beaches and the samba and the sun and all of that, right? And some of what you think is probably right. Well, if you've been here, you probably know a lot more. But if you haven't been to Brazil, you should also be a little bit careful of what you hear, right? For Bolsonaro, for example, when I read the Swedish newspapers, I get, I get a little bit surprised. He sounds like the devil himself, when they tell that he's, right wing, which he is. That he wants to introduce a military regime, that he wants to cut down the rainforest, that he, is bad in pretty much every way, and that he likes the pandemic and wants it to spread as much as possible, and so forth. So it's not really fair to start with what you hear about Brazil and what you hear about the president. He is very outspoken. He is a little bit like Donald Trump. He loves Donald Trump, by the way, and he is controversial, but he's also done a few good things. I mean, during his mandate, he's now in his third year. He got one very big win, was a reform of the pension system, which is extremely important for the country. That was in discussion for 10 or 15 years before Bolsonaro came and managed to do it. he also managed during his first year to get Mercosur together and sign, you know, the tentative trade agreement with the European Union, which has also been blocked by previous governments. And yesterday he privatized some 15 airports, and today they are privatizing, I think it's some ports, and there are some railways going on. So he's doing a pretty good job on privatization. He's also doing a fair job of decreasing bureaucracy. On the other hand, he's doing a poor job on public relations and especially foreign relations. He's doing a poor job on corruption. Environment is doing a poor job, and so forth. So unfortunately, you only see one side of the coin when you read much of the international press, right? But he's, you know, I wouldn't vote for the guy, but he's not all that bad as he's been painted out. Another misconception is about the environmental disaster, or I want to put it regarding Brazil. If you look at the cutting down the rainforests, of course it's happening. It's you know, it pretty much happened since the Portuguese arrived here in 1500s. But if you go 15 years back in time, since then the cut down on the rainforest has decreased some. It's over 50, maybe 60%, or around 60%. So it is actually getting a lot better than it used to be. Unfortunately, during the last few years, it's been going up. And unfortunately, the climate change that we're facing has also increased the number of forest fires, right? That it's making the situation even more difficult, right? So the situation is not. Is far from great. I mean, I personally wish that Brazil would do a lot more, but it's not as bad as I think you see it when you read the media, right? It's also a very complicated situation. The rainforest, the Amazon rainforest, is larger than all of Western Europe, so it's a huge territory. And you have landowners that want to raise their cattle. You have poor people that need to eat. They cut down trees to burn for wood or to do their small agricultural business, and they take down a few trees just to plant what they need to eat. You have some forest companies that cut down trees and steal it and ship it to Europe and the US, where it's sold very expensively. And this is hard to control. You would need to control it in a good way. You need a lot more resources, right? So those are a couple of the misconceptions. Another one is, of course, Brazilian football players, if they are the best in the world or not. And I don't think we want to go into that discussion right now. That's hard to say. But for sure, Brazil is one of the most beautiful countries in this world, and it's a great climate. And I, for one, I love living down here. The climate is great, the people are great, food is great. So it's a lot of good things about this place as well. And you probably want to know a little bit about the COVID situation as well. You've probably seen it on the news that Brazil is a disaster right now, and it is. Here's a curve that we took out a couple of days ago, and if you look at the left, you see the number of deaths per day, and you see that been skyrocketing over the last month and a half. We have around 3,000 deaths per day right now, which is terrible. Maybe around 80,000 new cases per day detected. So we have very close to a collapse in the hospital system. The hospitals are full. People have been, in the corridors, in the emergency centers. It's a lack of beds, of oxygen, of drugs. It's a lack of nurses and doctors. So it's been a very tough situation, and big parts of Brazil is in a close to lockdown situation. Here in Sao Paulo, for example, we are. Supermarkets and drugstores are open, and gasoline stations, and the rest is pretty much closed. A lot of us doing home office, right? but it's hard to control in a country like Brazil. There's a lot of poor people and a lot of informal workers, and if they don't leave home to go to work and try to earn their money, they don't eat, basically. So people do go out, they take public transportation because otherwise they starve to death. So it's a complicated situation. It's very hard to have a lockdown in a poor country like Brazil. So, but it's the last days has been getting a little bit better. Unfortunately, the vaccination process is going okay now. I think we're getting close to 1 million people being vaccinated per day. The last I heard was 800,000, and they're wrapping up. So I believe in a April will be bad, May will still be bad, but I think from June it should be a lot better if we can continue with this vaccination process of close to 1 million per day, right? So it's we're hopefully seeing the light in the tunnel, right? And so that was very short about Brazil. I don't want to go into so much more details, but we can of course talk more about it later on, and I can answer questions and so forth. Quickly about CasaMax and what we do. What I told you about so far is kind of the base for CasaMax, right? Is this if you look at it from opportunity side, Brazil and South America is a huge business opportunity. Brazil is fifth largest country in the world, fifth largest country in land and also in population. It's around the 10th largest economy in the world. It goes up and down with exchange rates, of course. It's a Western business culture, so it's fairly easy to do business, and all the major international companies that are here and so forth. So it's a huge business opportunity, right? And Brazil is pretty much half of South America, both in land and population and an economy. So Brazil is kind of the entry, the gates to South America many times. So it's an interesting market. On the other hand, we have huge challenges. Brazil has a terrible bureaucracy. The tax system is awful. Probably one of the worst in the world. It takes a long time to open up a company. It's hard to take care of all the paperwork and everything. There's corruption if you work with, at least if you work with the public companies, not so much business to business. There's some violence, and the insecurity is not perfect either, and so forth, right? So it's not an easy place to do business, even if the opportunities are big, and that's where we come in, right? We try to make it easier for international companies to do good business in Brazil. We try to take away, and we work with all these challenges so that they can take care of the business opportunities. So that's our role, and actually we're kind of also grateful for the complications. If it was really easy to do business here, we would be out of a job, So I'd like it to be a little bit easier, but not too easy, because that's our business is based on it, right? And we do this. Making it easier for companies to do business, basically in 3 areas, what we call strategy, sales, and operation. But they're all kind of tied together, all focused on mid-sized international companies which wants to do business and often quite small when they come to Brazil. So the companies we work with in Brazil, they are small, even if they are mid-sized in Sweden, for example. With this, on the strategy part, we do normal consulting work. We do market studies, viability checks. We help them with business planning, and we've done a few acquisitions, a few strategy reviews, and the turnaround projects and so forth. But that's probably today the thing that we do least of, normal consulting work. We do a lot of sales, where we do what we call testing the market. Many times we find that it's not very useful to do market studies in any depth, at least. So we often just take a product and go out and look for the customers and show it and try to sell it. And by that, we get a very good understanding of the market and the competitors and price levels and so forth. So we work with that. We work with finding partners and more important, with managing partners. Finding a good partner is normally not that hard. Making it a good business is a lot tougher. We work with workshops and trade fairs and company visits, and a lot of what we do is pure business development, where we work as the foreign companies sales rep. We go out and try to sell it to the customers, often together with a Swedish or somebody else's company in Sweden, and this has been very successful, I think, and we, especially now during the pandemic, where we go out and do business meetings and connect with the sales managers in Sweden over Teams, for example. But we are there present with the client, and that has turned out to be quite effective, actually. And finally, we do sales management for some of the subsidiaries we manage. We recruit salespeople, and we do the daily sales management and help them to prioritize their agendas and make sure they update things in Pipedrive and coach them and so forth. And finally, which is the largest part of our business, is operation, where we manage and drive small subsidiaries, basically. So we do everything from the company registration and startup and getting the bank accounts up and running and finding an office and recruiting the first people and so forth. We take care of the outsourcing, BPO, of finance, admin, cash flow, HR management, and all that stuff. We also manage supply chain for companies that need to import. Sometimes we can also import through our company, through CasaMax. And we do some what we call governance, participate in boards, a couple of boards, and management meetings and so forth, and make due diligence and report so forth, to make so that this the headquarters feel confident that the local managements are doing the right thing and everything is working out. So in short, that's what we do. It looks like maybe a lot of different services, but it's all tied together in with one quite small focus, right? To help smaller businesses or mid-sized businesses from abroad to do business in Brazil. So it all kind of gets together. And what makes us a little bit different, maybe than others, is that we try to work very close to our clients. We work walk in their shoes or work together as one team. We want to work very long term with them. Of course we can do a small consulting study during a couple of months and deliver a report, but that's not really our interest. Our interest is to work together with companies for 5, 10, 20 years. So naturally we focus a lot on execution. We're very hands-on, and frequently we also align our incentives based on the results of the companies. So we could have some risk reward sharing models, is quite normal, and in a couple of cases we also have participation in the subsidiaries here in Brazil. So in short, that's what we do.